Kids don't learn when they're upset. Have you ever noticed how some of the best learning moments happen in play? And most times, it could be right after a meltdown. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 simple play-based activities that can boost your child's pre-reading skill, and 5 minutes reset activity that can help you go from meltdown to calm. That can help you when they're upset or when they're having a meltdown. This activity, you can actually use it to calm them. Now let's start with meltdown. So you're in the middle of a meal prep and boom, your child loses it all because their banana broke in half. Things we see as parents, right? Okay, so how do you handle this, or how do you tackle this behavior? First, you want to pause your reaction. You want to take one slow breath before you react. And next, you want to name the feelings. Oh no, you're upset because your banana broke in half. Then you want to offer comfort. It could be a hug, it could be just getting them to sit beside you. You just want to calm them as much as possible, make them feel okay. And then you want to redirect with choice. And then you go like, do you want to eat it now or later? That's after when they are calm and they are ready and willing to talk to you. Okay, once they are calmer, you want to shift into something engaging. So this is when you transition to play. And trust me, this little reset not only calms their big emotions, but it opens door for learning. And now you want to look for play-based pre-reading activities. You have to keep it light, simple, and easy. It doesn't have to be complicated. Something simple, something so easy. You could get them to go on a sound hunt. For example, you have the S, that's the letter S. So you want them to move around and look for something that starts with the letter S. So you see them going around and making the sounds. Oh, that's a snail, for snail. So that is one play-based activity you could use to get them or to prepare them for the major lesson. Sound safari, which is like a treasure hunt for sound, is one good play-based pre-learning activity that you could get the kids to do before the actual activity or the actual lesson. And another play-based pre-reading activity you could also do is rhyming match. How do you do that? For example, sock, rock, cook, look. Kids love the silliness. And then you want to make it engaging, you want to make it fun, you want to make it conversational and all. You can also get dramatic. Kids love the silliness, they love the laughter, they love, you just try and be funny. And another play-based pre-reading activity is story stones. Draw or paint little pictures on rocks. It could be a cat, it could be a house, it could be a tree, depending on what the kids are familiar with. And then you want to get the kids to create stories around those drawings. Trust me, this sparks imagination and narrative skills. And this brings out the creativity in them. That's when you'll be hearing a lot of narratives, some things you've not heard before, and you'll be like, wow, so they can think this far. That is where creative thinking comes in. You get them to use these pictures, or you get them to form a story around the drawings. Another play-based pre-reading activity you can use is clap the syllables. You want them to say the words and clap it out. For example, you have banana, you say banana. You can go ahead to ask them how many syllables are in banana. Because they've clapped it, they will be able to tell you banana has banana. So banana has 3 syllables. And then the next pre-reading activity you want to try, or that is also good, is alphabet art. Here you use Play-Doh. You have an already printed alphabet, and then you get the kids to use Play-Doh. Mold the Play-Doh around the alphabet, like creating the shape of the alphabet. It's more or less, tracing the alphabet with the Play-Doh. Okay, so all of this makes learning fun and engaging, and also interesting for the children. So next time when a meltdown hits, pause, reset, and then lead into play. Not only will you and your kids feel calmer, but you will also be boosting your kids' reading skills in the most natural way possible through connection and play. Until next time, bye.